Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Wiley and this is my Math Center presentation. So we are going to start over here with the topics that will be addressed. The first topic will be counting money, the second will be adding money, the third will be subtracting, and our final will be world problems, or how can we relate this to real world interaction. And the grade that will be focused on throughout this activity is first grade. So starting in the corner, we will talk about our NGS Common Core standards for first grade. So the first standard is the MP.5, which is using appropriate tools and strategies, or using it strategically. 1.NBT.3 is the next one, which is comparing two-digit numbers based off of the meanings of the 10 and 1 digits and recording your results with the symbol dot or equal. And then the final one is 1.NBT.4-6, which is using place value and understanding properties of operations for addition and subtraction. So our first one we will get into is activity 1, counting money. So first, students will be provided with this worksheet counting money, or you can provide them with plastic coins as well. But for the sake of the activity, I will be using this template from Teachers Pay Teachers, have my student cut them out and use them for this activity. So to start, we will talk about pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, and the value of them. So example, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pennies. Each penny is worth 1 cent. And that is a basic rundown for my students to understand what it would be. But of course, we would go through all the amount of coins so students know each value. Next, my students will go on to the money counting activity that I created. And this will help them practice counting their money as well as drawing a picture, so they show the understanding of both and they also get to use their creativity. One of the examples I implemented was Arden has 1 quarter, 3 dimes, and 2 pennies. How much money does Arden have? Draw a picture. So that's one of the examples on here. And then our exit ticket will be more simple. Students will be provided a sheet of paper that will have a pre-written cost that I wrote on there. For example, 50 cents, right? Students will then take their plastic coins or paper coins and demonstrate how they can equal that. So that could be 5 dimes or 2 quarters, whatever, as long as they're able to get the correct answer. So on to activity 2, we have 2 worksheets that students will be using, both provided by Teachers Pay Teachers. So this activity 2 is directly addressing addition of math. So students will be provided, like I said, the shopping value chart, which will help them understand what the price is for their shopping receipt page, for their shopping math page. So for example, the value chart says that a gallon of milk is 3.25. So for this part, it'd be 3.25 plus the chips are 0.99. So plus 0.99, and then whatever answer the students get would of course be the answer. So students will work on this, but first we will have a discussion as a class on how items cost money in a store and how we have to pay, right? And how we can use addition to figure out the total of our items that we have purchased. And of course, I will guide the students through the first example so they can have a good understanding. So the image below is our exit ticket. I will guide you through this. Of course, mine has the answer, but students will not have theirs. All they will have is the egg plus water. They will use their value chart to put the price below as well as what it costs. So this would be a sample to show the students. The eggs are $1.50, the water is $1.25. Added together, that's $2.75. And that would show the knowledge of the students understanding how to add the money together. And once again, these 2 worksheets are from Teachers Pay Teachers, and the exit ticket I created myself. So on to activity 3, we will be working on subtracting money. So to start, students will be provided with a subtracting money worksheet, which I created, and there will be a sample already filled out, and that is what I will help my students through, because as you can see, there are images of money. So there are 2 quarters, a nickel, and a penny, which means this is 56 cents. There is 1 dime and 3 pennies on the worksheet, which equals 13 cents. So it says on here 56 minus 13 cents is a total of 43 cents, right? And then students, of course, will write a sentence on how they got their answer or explaining their total. So my example is you will have 43 cents remaining. And then there are several other examples the students will go through. And then after that, we will move on. After we will also have a discussion on how we can use money to pay for items, right? And then after that, we will conclude our lesson with our exit ticket. And once again, this is a sample that is completed. Students will only have the images of the coins, and they will have to put their answer. So I put a simple one: 4 quarters, which is $1, minus 1 quarter, which is 25 cents. And then it would just be $1 minus 25 cents equals 75 cents. And to move on to activity 4, real world or world problems, how to implement this activity into the real world. So for this activity, students will use these 3 skills that have already been taught to them, and this will be applied to this activity. These skills will help them understand a real world example. So for this activity, students will create their own store, and we will get play food for example, play milk and fake water and different foods that will match our value chart. And with that being said, we will use that in our store. All students will have a copy of the value chart so they can remember how much money they will owe. And students, of course, will use the toy money they previously were provided. So both students will do the cashier as well as being a shopper. And students that practice shopping will use their toy money to count out the amount of money they owe to the cashier. And of course, the cashier will count out the amount of change that will go back to the shopper. So this is, of course, an example of the value chart as I showed previously. This is from Teachers Pay Teachers. And for our exit ticket, we will do a money matching game, which is just a simple way to remind students of the amount of money equals. So one of the examples on here is 5 cents at the top, and you would just trace it down to the 5 cents. Of course, there are different examples throughout, so of course I would guide the students through possibly the first one if they are struggling. If not, they will go through that quickly on their own, and they will be ready for the end of the activity. So to get onto the cross-curricular, activity 1 was, of course, counting money, as you saw. And this is a cross-curricular with art, and the reason why I believe this is a cross-curricular with art is during the counting worksheet, it has students drawing, right? So students will be drawing the coins that they used to get their answer. So for example, 1, I had mentioned how there was 1 quarter, so students would draw a circle and write 25 in it, right? So they understand that that's a quarter. And so that drawing also connects with creativity and the basic understanding of money value, which was the point of that activity. For activity 2, we will be addressing adding money, and the cross-curricular that I believe connects with adding money was social studies, and this is due to the fact that it addresses basic economic concepts with the fact that students are buying items, right? And students are adding the prices of each items that they are buying in their store, which is also the activity that we connected to our real life store for our 4th activity. And so this helps build that connection of economics, which connects to social studies. So 3rd activity is subtracting money, and the cross-curricular I believe that could connect to this is language arts, and this is due to the fact that in this worksheet I do have students writing an explanation on how they got their answer, and so this helps students use their cognitive thinking as well as connecting it to their mathematics while writing. And for the final activity was the real world example or the world problem, and the cross-curricular I would connect this activity to would be science and engineering. And the reason why I believe this is due to the fact that students are creating their own mini store in the classroom. So Students will be interacting with one another. Students will be buying and selling items, as well as working on problem solving skills, right? Because they may be confused on the count of money or how to do an interaction at the store, so they're working together on that aspect. And for the assignment strategies, assessing rubric breakdown. So my rubric down below is assessing the math. This is a mathematics-based rubric, so this is assessing based on the quality of work the students produced, the engagement they had throughout the activities and assignments, and the responses on their exit questions. So this would be if the students answered correctly or if they did not. This would only affect them in the sense that they would receive extra assistance throughout the next following activities, and just so they can build a better connection, and they might possibly get an extra guidance on past activities that we did go